So the iPhone 13 is actually now out of the lineup and replaced by the iPhone 14. But a lot of you were asking in my iOS 18 video, could you cover one of the older iPhones, see how it runs? And I thought, let's take a look at one of the more popular models that just recently got kicked out of the lineup, including the 13 mini also got kicked out of the lineup. And by the end of this video, you're going to find out how well the iPhone 13 performs on iOS 18. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Now we're going to start with a boot up, and I thought why not compare it to the official iOS 18 on the 15 Pro Max here. It's a much faster, newer phone. And if you're wondering, let's go ahead and 3, 2, go. If you're wondering where's the iPhone 16 at, I know a lot of you are thinking about that review. It's coming Friday. I pre-ordered the phone just like any other consumer would, and I review them for you. So you got to wait till the day they come out, and we will be covering them. So stay tuned for that content. But today I want to see how well this does. And you've seen it was only like a second or two behind the 15 Pro Max, which means that it probably will only be about a second or two behind the up and coming 16 Pro Max. So not bad here for the iPhone 13 to get started here. Okay, so to confirm iOS 18, we're on 18 here. Beta updates are now off. We're on official here on both. iOS 18 off over here on the right. I'm gonna turn True Tone off because that looks a little yellow like that. So that's all good to go. Now, generally on the home screen, besides the smoother 60 hertz, the iPhone 13, initially on the original betas, it was a little bit slower than I would like. But now on the last beta, the official here, it's actually pretty smooth. It's not really a major issue for generally going through the operating system. So pretty much in line with what you would expect from an Apple device right here. Now, even on the other iPhones, I am noticing that when we do go ahead and add controls, I've been talking about this since the initial beta. When you're swiping through here, this just looks a little slower than I would like, a little choppier than I would like, but that's also the case over here on one of the newer iPhones. As you can see, a little bit better, but not super smooth. So I think they need to smooth this out a little bit. See how that takes a while to load that stuff too? That's not very Apple-like in my opinion. So that's one area, and you'll see it taking a second to load. That's one area I think they need to improve here on iOS 18. But overall, you can see, besides, again, 60 hertz, seeing that little bit of a less smooth scroll that you find on the newer phones, it's not bad. It's doing just fine. So if you're not needing Apple Intelligence features, the 13 is looking pretty good generally going through the software and should hold you over for quite some time still for day-to-day tasks. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and launch some apps now. This is not a full-blown speed test, but we are going to kind of get an idea of the performance here on the iPhone 13. And you can see looking pretty good. What I want to look at also is scrolling. You can see faster on a newer iPhone, of course, and you can see Apple is promoting iOS 18 now. It is the newer software, but you can see besides that smoother refresh, it's looking fine here, and it looks like you'll still be able to do most of what you need to do on the iPhone 13. This is a good sign because at first I was a little nervous about the 13. It was a little bit choppy early on in the beta stages, but nowadays it's doing pretty good. So I'm not too upset with it there. Let's go ahead and try eBay here on both devices and see what we do get. And you'll see faster on the right, of course. But again, not going to be too slow once in there. Let's go ahead and just click a look at this trending sneaker, and you can see no problem. So running it like that, just fine. Let's go to X, and you'll see faster, of course, on a newer iPhone. But you see, once in application, does it really matter how fast your processor is day to day? Now, let's go ahead and open up, how about Free Fire here? See what happens on this one. Make sure the volume is off. You can see the game mode from iOS 18 is now enabled. And of course, the newer 15 Pro Max here is going to launch this first, just because it's a more powerful phone. Or is it? Is it going to be the 13? Because the 13's bar looks ahead. Yeah, it is going to go first to over here. So you see that was good here for the iPhone 15. And here comes the iPhone 13. So the processor is a little bit older here for the 13. So when you start gaming, when you start running all your favorite applications, it is going to be a little bit slower than you would like. So do keep that in mind. It's not going to be as fast as some of these newer phones. But once you're actually in and playing and you keep it down to just one app at a time, I think the 13 is going to be fine. And also, because they included that game mode, when you're gaming on some of these older iPhones with a little bit less power, that's going to kill off the background tasks. So even the older iPhone should benefit from that newer game mode over here. But as you've seen, opening apps just fine. Now, one of the area where the iPhone 13 is showing its age a little bit, it's not going to do it here on just a few apps, is the RAM management. If you do have a lot open at once, there is a possibility for some apps to close themselves out or just not be as fast on the reloads. That is one area where the 13 can struggle. It doesn't always, but it can. So that's just an area to keep in mind. So the newer iPhones have doubled the RAM, which is one of the main reasons why you can get Apple Intelligence on the newer iPhones over here. And you'll see pretty smooth even in Apple News. So it's looking good here for iPhone 13 users, except for, again, no Apple Intelligence, but it's still looking good for the base iOS 18 experience. One of the things I want to look at and see how it runs here is in the customization, one of the newer features. One of the areas where it was giving us issues before was when switching between large and small icons, tinting the icons here. They were not ready to go, but you can see they still sometimes take a little bit of a second to all clear up into the tint. Let's change it to a different color. How about we use the color picker and we go right here to, okay, see, now see right there, that was an issue. See, we're getting a little bit of lag there. So there is still some bugs in here. Look at that. The color picker just didn't work at all right there. Had to relaunch it, and I'm going to leave that in the video because I want to showcase that it's not perfect. As you can see, as we click the color picker here, now it goes to that color that we did look for. If I hit edit customize again, and then we take it on over here, we'll go to a different color entirely. You can see all the apps are pretty decent, so not bad. It's much better than when it first started the iOS experience, but you've seen we got that bug with the color picker earlier. So it does have a potential to lag up a little bit. Here's all the dark mode icons, and they look pretty fantastic if you ask me right here. So definitely not too shabby here for the iPhone 13 for customization. Now, when moving applications around early on, we were even getting lags on moving them around wherever you wanted on the screen. I was anyway, and it's not happening now. I was also getting issues with it getting stuck in the large icon mode, whereas when I would go into the large one and I would go back to the small one, sometimes it wouldn't do it properly. So you can see now they're large, removes the names. Let's go to small and go back and see how it looks here. Everything is cleared up, so we don't see those loading icons where it kind of like doesn't show the app fully. Let's hit again, and we'll hit here. So overall, that looks pretty good on that front. Let's go ahead and put it in automatic mode, and we'll see if I click dark mode, if those icons turn dark, and there they go. So they worked pretty well there. Pulling it back, pretty good. There was a little flash effect there when I did go through to the other one. Let's see if it does that again. Yeah, there's a little bit of a blink. I don't know if that's normal, but there was a little bit of a blink effect. I don't think that was normal, but definitely you can see you're going to be able to run all the basics here pretty fine on iOS 18 for the iPhone 13. All right, let's make sure that the app hiding works here for iOS over here. Hide and require Face ID. And then if we hide the app, it will obscure its appearance. We'll bring it down here, make sure this feature is working properly. And there it goes. And now you're in once you unhide it with the Face ID. The next thing I want to check is the camera shutter speed. We'll see how this is doing, because sometimes the cameras, there's a little bit of a slowdown there when I switched between, but pretty good here so far. Ultra wide working fine. We'll click this over here. This is also working fine. Portrait mode. See if we get any lag in the portrait mode. Oh, that's working good. Let's go over here to cinematic, continue, slow motion, bringing it back. So camera looking really good. Let's go ahead and look at the front. We'll go to slow-mo, cinematic. Let's go to cinematic, change the f-stops over here, change it between depths, pretty good. And we'll switch over here to video, photo, portrait. We'll go through here, see if this changes up at all, and panoramic. So definitely the camera is looking pretty good. Also, if we come from the lock screen, let's see how that's working. That's good to go. Flashlight is also working as well. And let's see how the flashlight looks here. And you can see you don't get that newer flashlight experience that you'll find on the 15 Pro Max, which just has more of a customization with the flashlight. I'll show you what that looks like here. So basically, you'll see right here, this newer flashlight animation is only for some of these newer iPhones where you can actually turn. You can see on the Android guy over there, you can actually move where the light goes. See how it's up at the top and then it's at the middle, up at the top, in the middle. So that feature is not available for the 13, but generally all the features are seeming to work pretty well right now. All right, and our final scores are in, and a single core score of 2181 with a multi-core score of 5056. If I go over to single core, you'll see the average is definitely slightly higher on the 13, so we didn't score the best possible, but we were doing a bunch of tasks before going ahead and do this test. Also, under multi-core score, you'll see slightly less than our usual, but it's not like massively behind even a 15 Pro Max, only a couple thousand points, which is not huge in terms of daily performance. And you'll see right here, only about 800 points or so behind a 15 Pro Max here in daily performance. So I think what this video is showing you is that iPhone 13, 13 Pro, Pro Max, if you don't want the new features or don't really, you're not like super pulled to them right now, the 13 is going to hold you over at least till the 17 for sure. Again, this phone I do have to mention is not perfect, though I don't want to make it all sound rosy. This phone does get a little bit toasty under heavier use. It gets a little warmer than I used to, more than before. In addition, it doesn't have the best zoom camera out there. It's pretty basic camera setup. It works well. Everything looks good, but it's pretty basic. No dynamic island. And its battery is not as good as it used to be, even on the base model, but it's still usable, functional, and nothing about it feels super outdated or anything like that. So I would say generally it runs at about, if I would give it a score out of 1 to 10, I would say about an 8 out of 10. It runs pretty darn well. A couple bugs here and there, and a 4 gigs of RAM. Will reload an app from time to time, maybe crash an app here and there. But iPhone 13 generally is still a very usable and very functional smartphone. And I think you'll be fine at least until iPhone 17, 18 even, if you want to hold on to this one for quite some time. That's if you're trying to go long term. But you can also trade it in and get a pretty decent discount on a newer iPhone if you'd like. Let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comments section. If you have an iPhone 13, let us know how it's going. And if you want to see other iPhones on the iOS 18, some older ones, let me know down below in the comments. And again, stay tuned for iPhone 16 content coming on Friday. I will catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.